2014, we were the first filmmakers given a tent in a refugee camp. So we had this space in what actually is the largest Syrian refugee camp in the world. So it's about 9 miles from the Syrian border inside of Jordan, called Zaatari Refugee Camp. There's 85,000 Syrians living there. And it's just kind of this sprawling kind of mass of white tents on white sand. Is like this craziest place to film ever because everything is way overlit and as you can imagine. But it was profoundly moving being there, and we were immediately welcomed. Like, people helped us set up our tent. We were welcomed in for tea. Like, there at no point did I feel in danger. We were forced to leave at night because the Jordanian security thought we were in danger, but
and the experience was like, again, and none of our experience wasn't ever about simulating the life of a refugee, but about how do we actually take the time to have dialogues, not just monologues back and forth between East and West, where there's this division we've seen growing more and more. And
our role in these films, I mean, we have to think a lot about, initially it was an accident that we were in the film, right? We were living in this Guatemala village. We were shooting YouTube videos so our moms didn't think we were dead. And they got 1 million views on YouTube, and we're like, wow, this is a really powerful way to connect an audience who doesn't normally engage with this issue. And our kind of journey tied in our neighbors. And then in this second film, it is about that dialogue, right? Yeah. Like, literally seeing 3 Americans having really profound dialogue in a refugee camp.
Tell a story from the end of the film.
Yeah, so our favorite scene is this moment where we're sitting in a tent, in our tent, with all of our neighbors kind of on the last day, and our neighbor asked us, do you see us as we see ourselves portrayed in the media, as terrorists, right? And him asking us that was just kind of like, a wall of bricks hitting you and realizing that our neighbors are so connected to the world. I mean, they have cell phones. They are hearing this dialogue that's coming out of these words that are coming out of the U.S., especially at them, and they're just so confused about why people would see them in that way. And I think having us there and actually having kind of like a dialogue and then being able to translate that into part of the story,
and it makes
is our role.
And I think it's very actionable for any audience, as well as just realizing how important it is the way that you talk about a refugee, you talk about somebody in these different situations, is Syrians are listening. And you tell a small 12-year-old boy like Raouf, who's the main character of that film, if you tell him over and over again that he's violent, that he's a terrorist, that he's unwanted, what kind of future are you trying to create for this kid? And how does he gain that confidence to believe that he can be worthwhile, that he can contribute to this world, especially when he's been through kind of some of the atrocities that these kids have been through?